everyone, welcome back to the Sweet Star Candle YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be reacting to r/candle making. Before we get started with today's video, I just want to let you guys know that I do have a Sweet Star Candles Reddit, so I'll have the link to that in the top description. Feel free to put anything about your candle business or questions about candle making or anything like that. I'll have a link at the top description. Now let's get into reacting to r/candle making. So I'm just going to be going down the front page of r/candle making right here with you guys, and it should pop up over here to my left, basically what I'm seeing. So the first thing is first ever candle for my first ever silicone mold, seeing my first ever product photo shoot, looking for honest feedback. It's kind of a neat candle, and it looks like blowing bubble gum, so it's really cool. Next up, I'm proud of this one. So I guess they've made little candle pots with wicks inside. That is really cute. Oh, and they stack. I really like that. That's really pretty. So that's Frizz Bay. Really pretty. So here is the first one, and that's kind of like a question. What caused this? And then the candle looks like it's like the desert or something. So I would say what caused that may be a weird reaction between whatever wax you're using and fragrance oil. You could have cheap fragrance oil or wax, or you didn't get the wax up to the right temperature or something and stuff is separating. I don't really know. I would have to see the exact products that were used, but anytime you get weird stuff going on with candles, it's most likely just the materials you're using, or you're not using them in the proper way. Next up, I started my candle company today, congratulations, with a fragrance company. Oh, they're like little tin cans. Matchouli. I guess like matcha and patchouli. Really cute. My first candle ever, need feedback on issues. It looks pretty good. I mean, that's probably your second burn, and it looks like definitely a soy wax candle, cotton wick. It looks fine to me for right now. It's not tunneling. It's got into candle making and made my first ever candle ever. It has this problem where this black smoke comes out of the flame occasionally, and the flame is very high. I think it might have to be with my 10% fragrance load, but would there be any other reasons for this to happen? The melt pool also needs to be worked on, so I assume I need a bigger wick to test the next batch. Well, if you're getting, I would say the 10%, I would go down maybe to like 9%, but I mean, it doesn't look like it's tunneling, but you may, once the candle's fully tested, you may have to wick up to a larger cotton wick. Yep, it depends on what wick and wax you're using. Exactly. It's just a matter of testing the candle all the way down. If it's too over wicked, wick down. If it's under wicked and it's tunneling, just wick up. So guys, let me know if you guys would want a wick guide. I know a lot about like wooden wicks at this point, so I could definitely do like sizing of wooden wicks. That way you could be like, this one's not working, so my size up would be this one from this company, or size down. Because I know cotton wicks, there's a lot more variety of what you can buy. Wooden wicks are kind of, I would say they're easier to get into and use than cotton wicks for testing and to get candles out there. I made a blueberry jam candle. How do you like it? That is really pretty. The little blueberries are candles as well down here. Those are super cute. So just embeds and then clear wax on top. Really cute. I really like that. What should the burn time be on 3D candles? I'm not really familiar with them, so I'm not going to comment on them, but the elephant is really cute. His face is kind of melting away, but I'm not sure about that. Proud of my outfit. Lattes, dessert, and whimsy candles. Really cute. Embeds. Nothing is random pieces of flowers or twigs in there, which is exactly what we want. Everything is made of wax. Really pretty. Oh, that's one with flowers. Maybe that one is just a decorative one. But I like all the ones that are the wax. That's really cool. Great at shows, terrible at consignment, just want thoughts. I'm in my first year and I've had a hit at craft shows massively. Like, I'll go to a show where everybody else complaining they haven't had a single sale, and meanwhile I've had 40 sales. This did not go unnoticed by attending brick and mortar shops and had offers for consignment. The results have been dismal, like most haven't sold and those have maybe sold too. I have a bit of a niche, which is pseudo-fantasy inspired, sort of Dungeons and Dragons-esque. The stores who had interest were witchy shops and game shops, magic cards, board games, that sort of thing. When I visited, they had them prominently displayed and highlighted. What shocked me even more was one owner asked if they could take them to a craft fair they were going to, and I asked how many they would want, how it went, and they said we sold 3. Even at my worst sales, I've had it no less than 30 sales. Wow, you're doing really good. I'm not a good salesperson by any means. I'm not gifted with a silver tongue, but I continue to knock out of the park every single craft fair I do. My booth gets swamped. I can't understand why the moment it enters these people's shops, it just sinks. I imagine it's competition that plays a part. Not to mention, the game stores originally seemed like a no-brainer. At craft shows, I do very well when the crowds are very younger, yeah. I imagine that the boomer generation grew up with more John Wayne, but Gen X and younger all grew up with fantasy, whether it was the 80s, Lord of the Rings, movies, or whatever. So my shows, I'm a hit with that crowd. I thought getting in front of those type of enthusiasts would be a boom. But when I think about it myself, whenever I have gone to the game shop, it's either for a hobby or directly hobby adjacent, so maybe that's the reason those locations didn't work out. I'm just interested if others have thoughts. I'd like to do a course, have more opportunities for consignment or wholesale in the future, but there's only so many craft fairs I can do and clear ceilings for sales. Have success outside of fairs is imperative. I would say if you were going to craft fairs and you're knocking it out of the park every time, I would definitely just focus on that, because a lot of people go to craft fairs and they spend money to go and they don't even make the money back that they spend. Since craft fairs can get pretty expensive, I would just keep going to craft shows. If I went to a craft show and sold 30 things, I would be doing a craft show every single weekend and get my name out there. Plus, I would also reach out to maybe online shops like that, not just in-person ones, because like you said, it's more of adults go there, so they might not be your exact market. But congratulations on doing really good at craft shows. You don't necessarily have to be in stores. It's just up to what does well for you. Newbie. Why is there an extensive testing process? I'm new to candle making, about Golden 464, the recommended wicks, and 7-ounce jars from Candle Science. Why is so much testing still needed if they already give guidance on wick size, fragrance load, etc.? Are the recommendations off and off, or is it more about individual setup? Testing is more so you know how your candle performs, so if somebody comes to you with an issue after the fact, you can be like, okay, you're not burning your candle long enough, or, you know, whatever. But generally, places like Candle Science, if they say use this wick, jar, wax, and you do exactly, it should do pretty good. It just depends on your fragrance oil. Some fragrance oils they're tougher to burn through, or if you're using candle dye. For example, like my reindeer cookies candle, I use a lot of candle dye, and I don't think the fragrance is why it burns like it does, but I had to wick up because the candle had so much more dye in it to make the color that I wanted. So it's very dependent on fragrance oil and your candle dye. But if you just had one that wasn't scented and it was like that, it would probably be fine. It just depends on your fragrance oil. Everybody kind of has their own fragrance oils they want to use and what kind of candles they want to make. So that's why you have to test your candles. I make candles with draped layers. What do you think? Really pretty. Very modern. I like them. I think they're pretty. Budget mixing and filling machine. My candle business is growing pretty rapidly and profit margins are allowing me to spend a bit more on equipment and make my processes easier. One big ticket item that I'm interested in is a mixing and filling machine for my wax and fragrance oil. Anyone know of cheaper ones that do a pretty good job? I have no idea. Everything I do is just mix by hand with a metal pitcher and a mill spoon, so I can't help you there. I do know Black Tie Barn. I think he might have done a video about that kind of equipment, so I would check that out. Finally ready to launch, Northern Lights. I love this, especially that first picture. That product photography is really nice. Maybe brighten up the label a little bit, but Fire in the Hearth. Really pretty and perfect for this time of year, of course. They would probably do really good at craft shows, especially in November and December. How do I wick this mold? So I don't have the mold right in front of me, so I wouldn't exactly know, but I've seen a lot of people through the bottom of the mold, they put their wick through that, so I'm not really sure on that one. Made my first candles yesterday. Congratulations. They look really pretty. Just have to burn them and test them out. So happy to be making candles again. Fraser Fur. Cute. First year in candle making, 207 units, 4,000 revenue, lessons learned, and encouragement for anyone starting. Congratulations, that's really good for your first year. That's really awesome. And then I guess this is a picture of their testing process. Congratulations. Do your candles really get a full melt pool? I have a problem getting a full melt pool, and I really want to sell my candles. Bought candles before that did not get a full melt pool, and I want to know, does everyone's candles really get a full melt pool? Because I'm starting to get discouraged and not like making candles anymore. As long as when your candle gets to the bottom, it's completely melted, that's all that matters. You don't have to have a full entire melt pool at the first burn. Probably likely, if you do have that, your candle is overwicked. You want to err on the side of being more underwicked than overwicked, because when you get overwicked, that's when it can get dangerous. So I wouldn't even worry about it. Make your candles how you want to make them, and as long as the candle burns when it gets to the bottom, that's all you got to worry about. Did my first craft fair. Congratulations. Orange Tuxedo Creations. Cute. Experimenting creating my own candle jars. Interesting. Oh, that bee one is really pretty. That's awesome. Yeah, I really like that. Anyone ever seen a very large 4-cavity bear candle mold? 23 inches wide, 9 inches tall. I've never seen that, but they look really cute. They almost look like little puppies more than bears. It's definitely a vintage item there. Beeswax pillar candle sinkhole. That just happens as your candle cools down. I don't really work with pillar candles, so I'm not really sure, but candles do create sinkholes depending on the type of wax, so you might just have to use a different kind of wax. Starting a candle business in India, hidden from parents. Well, I don't know what I could tell you right there. Hidden from parents. I don't know why it would be bad to start a business, but to lid or not to lid, help. I'm in the design process of my candles to prepare them to begin selling next year. Congratulations. I use premium ingredients and supplies, so my cost per good per candle is higher than some to look and feel a certain way. My niche is simple luxury, good idea. Candles that look luxurious and minimalistic, which is trendy these days. On to my question. To keep my cost of goods down, I would like to omit candle lids for my vessels. For one, I'm finding it quite hard to find a lid that fits the vibe for the vessel. And the lids I have found bring up my cost of goods quite a bit. Yep. My question is, as a consumer or maker who knows their consumers well, would you lean more into buying a candle with a lid, or do you find buyers prefer lids over a dust cover? The reason I'm asking is a general sense of the want for candle lids, that I can allocate more time to finding ones that work and are less expensive. If I get many suggestions to do so, I know every population and consumer is different, and over time, I'll find out who mine is. But for now, I'm just looking for experience and suggestions from others based on the products. Thank you. I would just say whatever your customers like. You could do some over here that have lids and some over here that do not have lids, and then kind of go off which ones they prefer, especially if you went to like a market or you sold them in a store. That would be able to answer your question. But in my personal experience, my candles, I like the look of lids on mine, and I like to kind of recycle, so when the candle is done, people can clean out the candle and they can have a jar to use for whatever they want to use it for. So it just depends on what you want to do. And sometimes you don't have to listen to one group of people or another group of people. Everybody's going to have their own preference, like you said, so it's really just dependent on you and what you want to make. I made cows. Oh my gosh. My mom would eat those up. Really cute. Can we talk about gatekeeping, experimentation, and tone in the sub? This is meant in good faith, and I'm not trying to pick a fight with anyone in particular. I'm just honestly wondering if my experience here is normal or if I'm completely out of step with what the sub wants. Over time, I've noticed that some of the time I comment or post, especially if it's anything even slightly outside the standard way of doing things, I get dogpiled on, downvoted instead of discussed. A few examples. When I talked about old school wick treatments using borax and salt, historically a documented method, the reaction was, huh, interesting, do you have any sources? Basically, never heard of it, must be wrong or unsafe. Made a poll asking who had heard of the method. I was legit just the only one. Instead of curiosity, it turned into an echo chamber of people reinforcing each other's distrust, including stuff like comparing borax to poisonous mushrooms or raw potatoes. That's not how safety or science works, true. When I asked what people think about commercial wick manufacturers use a stiffened, strengthened wicks, nobody really knew, but there is still this automatic assumption that the mystery commercial treatment must be safer than a clearly described DIY method. After I did some research, many commercial wicks are treated with chemical stiffeners, flame modifiers, and other additives most of us never see listed online. That's true. Older wicks sometimes have metal cores. That's also true. Lead core wicks are banned in the US many years ago for toxicity reasons. Yep. Modern treatments are usually proprietary, so half the time you have no real idea what's actually in the wick when you're running your living room. Yep, unless you're physically making the wick. Well, you can get fully cotton wicks that don't have anything in them, but I just stick to my wooden wicks, so I'm not going to comment on that since mine are just wood. Yeah, that sometimes, and I think that happens with any subreddit though, is people have their one way of doing things, and if you're doing it a way that's unconventional, people are like, oh my gosh, well, and the modern way of talking about candles, it's very like, we get our supplies from the candle making supply companies, and we get our wicks, and we get our fragrance oil from there, and then if you're saying, I make my own certain things, people can kind of get freaked out by that, because they might see it's unsafe. But for example, like, I have a good example is mica powder. A lot of people say, don't ever use mica powder, it's so horrible, da 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 da. I've been using mica powder in my candles ever since I started, and I did a lot of testing with them to add the right amount and to do it safely, and the candles still work fine and they look really pretty as they burn. So just make your candles your way, and as long as it's safe for the customer and it doesn't have any weird stuff in it, I don't see any problem with doing things unconventionally. I'm gonna do 2 more. Pictures. I'm just starting my candle business and struggling with photos. Are there any places y'all get inspiration or resources to learn? I've looked at YouTube and other candle makers, but then I worry about being an imposter. Do you hire a professional? I've never hired a professional photographer for my candle business. Your best friend with taking pictures is, you can do it definitely with a cell phone, you can get really pretty pictures. But if you have a camera, the sun is going to be your best friend. You can get a white piece of paper or like a photo box type of thing, put it outside and take photos in the sun, especially when it's like the sun is highest in the sky. You're gonna get really good lighting and really clear pictures. But yeah, you don't, I think everybody might struggle with being an imposter with anything you're doing. So I think that goes away over time once you get more familiar with candle making and business and all of that kind of stuff. That's up to you if you want to hire a professional. I don't think it's necessary, especially in the beginning. That seems like a lot of money to put up front, even if before you even know if people like your specific candles. So it just depends on what you want to do. But yeah, my best advice would be to take photos outside in the sun. Anyone else getting ready for Christmas? Yes, I did really good on Black Friday online, so it's the best time of year for shopping. And I think that's going to be my final post for you guys. Please let me know if you enjoyed this type of video, and like I said, if you want to post on r/SweetStarCandles, feel free to do so. Post about your business, post about your pictures or questions or anything like that. Feel free to join. I'm going to be pretty active on there. But thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to check out the products I make or Sweet Star Candles wholesale or anything like that, the links will be down in the description. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you guys very soon. And before I go, I just also want to let you guys know my next video will probably be reacting to r/Sweet Star Candles instead of r/CandleMaking. I'm just trying to make a little community over there. Feel free to post about your business, promote it, ask questions over there, all of that good stuff. I'll have all the links down below, and thank you again for watching.